If you're in a reading rut, or if you need a buffer book, or if you're just bored with the shit that you're reading, this is good. Broody fae males in fantasy, sign me up. Shadow daddies, broody, sign me up. This, broody cowboy. I don't think I've giggled. Your girl was giggling. This is the second book in the Chestnut Spring series, following this like single dad, and he lives on a ranch. He is like a full-blown cowboy, and he needs a nanny to look after his 5-year-old kid. I wasn't on board with like a kid being in a romance book. I was like, I'm not that keen. But this kid is so freaking cute. Like the stuff he says in here, hilarious. So Cade is the cowboy. He's about 38, and Willa, who he hires as his nanny, is 25. A bit of an age gap. Basically, this book is like enemies to lovers, close proximity, because they have to, like, she lives in his house because she's a nanny. It doesn't get spicy. Like, there's 410 pages. It doesn't get spicy till around halfway through. It's a bit of a build-up. I'd say that 400 pages, I mean, for us fantasy girlies who are reading like 700, etc. The romance books are typically like our buffer book between our fantasy books. So 400 pages isn't really that big of a deal for us. And especially because I think like text is quite big in these books. So I feel like we fly through them. I mean, I think with my expectation of it being like a romance book, like I typically like to have like the spice like quite soon. Kind of waiting for it until halfway through. But then when you get it, it's about like 3 to 4 chapters long, so it's like a good chunk of thing. This is like concentrated here. I don't know why my voice made that sound. Willa, who's like the main female character, she's so cool. She's very flirty, but she's also like strong and like confident. She does horse riding, so she's not like super out of her realm when she's like meeting a cowboy compared to Summer in the first book. She was like total city girl. I think I would give this more stars than the first book. I think this was way better than the first book, and if you've read the first book and then you were like, I don't know, I would say like read this, because I thought the Twisted Love series was my favorite romance series, but I think this is gonna top it. I mean, they're quite different, but I would say that Heartless probably, I think this is my number one. Maybe I'll reread it and I'll be like, why was I so obsessed? But I really don't think I will, because there's a lot of build up here. It's so weird being like, is this my number one? Is it? I think it might be. I think this might be my number one. Not my number one book of all time, just my number one romance book. I also don't say this a lot, but like I don't typically reread romance books. It's like a one and done. Super good little buffer book for me. Let's go back to fantasy and romantic books. I would reread this. I wish I could read you some of the things that he says, but I cannot because I will get cancelled by the algorithm. I haven't felt this way about a book in a really long time. I think you should just go read it. And then please tell me if you giggle like how I do, because So to the important stuff. Spice level out of 5, I would give this a 4.6. I think this is quite spicy and like a good level of spice. Like not like aggressive and mean and stuff like that. Like just like spicy. Like writing and story was great. I think this was a great romance book. I do have notes. 2 things actually. When you're in the moment of like a spicy scene and then they have to clarify that they're like on the pill or like they're doing something like contraceptive. Happens in all the romantic-y ones too, where they have to like clarify and they're like, I'm on this tonic. No, we have to put it in there and then we have to specify, because otherwise you're like, oh, is there a pregnancy coming and blah blah blah. So like I know you have to like specify, but I always hate seeing it in writing. The other thing that I did not love was she just kept talking about goosebumps, except she said it as goose flesh. And goose flesh, I was like, ugh. Unless we can just tell authors like, hey, just put in like here or something, like at the start, like a disclaimer. Everyone is on the pill. Other than that, really enjoyed this book. I think you should get it and then let me know what your thoughts are. I'm excited to read the other 2 books in this series though, so I will keep you updated if the rest of it is as good as this one.